Right. So we've got a couple of things to do today, or tonight, shall I say, because obviously some of you want some help with Canva, talking about the infographic side of things. So what I want to do first is just look at Learning Unit 7 quickly, briefly. It's a lot of overlap with other modules that you have. So I just want to speak to you a little bit on that. And then what I'm going to do is start speaking to the POE itself, looking at what is needed, but mostly focusing on the Canva aspect of it, just to help you guys in terms of creating an infographic. But then also, like I usually do, I'll start going through question 1 and 2 tonight as well. And then we'll, in our next collab, if I remember correctly, our next collab is our NSS collab 13. No, we still have one more before that, so we're okay on that front. And then no, our next one is the NSS. Yes, I am right. Okay, so I want to go over some points or parts of the POE more than once. Right, so let's first look at Learning Unit 7, because Learning Unit 7 does come up in the POE. So it is important, well, certain aspects of it come up in the POE. So I just want to briefly go over these points. Okay, so Learning Unit 7 is all about globalization, ICTs or information communication technology, and the media. As I said, I know that you do cover this already in COSC. The concept of globalization is brought up in Journ, so it's not anything new to you guys. Concepts that are actually quite familiar, but at the same time, obviously, we need to speak to them as they relate to media studies to make sure that you've got it right for the POE. All right. So the first thing I just want to speak to is the characteristics of globalization. Now, why this is important is because to understand what globalization is all about, we've got to know the aspects that make up globalization. So if you have a look in the notes, it goes into detail in terms of breaking down some of these aspects in more detail. But I'm just going to go over the 9 characteristics of globalization, because again, this can be used for the POE. So the first thing I just want to speak to is that it's the new world economic order. It's that we're very familiar with how our world works now. We don't work in isolation within our own countries. COVID obviously sped up this process for us a bit, but we live in a country where our finances, our industries, everything is decentralized, and it's not just about the economy as we know it before. So even though you are living in South Africa, you can work for Amazon, you can work for Microsoft or remotely. There's a lot of remote jobs being on offer, which obviously then impacts our economics. And that's all due to globalization. This whole idea of our world getting bigger, but our world getting smaller. So our communication and our reach is much more vast, but we feel like our world is smaller because we've got better connection with each other and with the world around us. So how that comes about, how we have this better communication, is through the use of ICTs. So some of you right now will be listening to this collab on a laptop, some of you on a phone, some of you on a tablet. Do you think we can survive without our devices anymore? What do you guys think? Do you think we could actually cope? I don't think so. How many of you have left your phone at home and gone to work or gone to someone's house and you kind of feel like part of your soul is missing? Like there's something wrong. Like you constantly have that feeling of like something's going to go wrong. Your job is online, Yolandi, so you would have a major problem, okay? Person, you've never left your phone anywhere. big ups to you, because I've done that so many times where I've left my phone at home and I kind of go, what happens if the school phones? What happens if someone needs to get hold of me? Thankfully, with having WhatsApp on our laptops, but again, it's because of that ICT. So we constantly are having this evolution of technology and how we communicate with one another. And that links to the next characteristic, which is our personal lives. My mom lost hers in a public bathroom. Quite a lot, though. Hey, listen, I'm not surprised. Because the thing is, our phones have become second nature in our lives. So, and our devices and what have you. So we kind of misplace them, not because of a lack of care, but because they're so just like part of our everyday lives. It's not like it used to be with cell phones and that, where they were such a rare occurrence that we treated them like gold. Now we treat them the same as we do, a piece of jewelry, or no, maybe not even that. I think we're more pedantic with those. But it's that our personal lives are not our own anymore. We are constantly connected 24/7. I'm sure some of you, and I will speak from personal experience here, you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is pick up your phone, check what your WhatsApps are, checking Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever the moment you wake up. So it's that we have this constant connectivity. And again, we get that anxiety when we don't have connection to the world and we don't have connection to our social medias and what have you. So our personal lives are being encroached upon. Evening, Lou. So it's that our personal lives, while there are obviously positives to it, there are also negatives to it as well. And we know that suicide rates have gone up. We know that there are international problems that with people and with depression and anxiety and all that, because of the constant information from the media. I don't know if you guys felt during COVID how you almost had information overload to the point where it made you feel as if the world was falling down around you. And while the world was in complete upheaval and it was an absolutely terrible time, the media and the constant information being thrown at us all the time made it worse. So we tend to hype up what's going on around you. I don't know if you guys experienced that. I know I did. I was constantly checking that worldometer and stats and all that. Kirsten, yeah, exactly. It's actually very overwhelming. Yolanda, you stayed in your bubble. Listen, I think that is amazing that you could do that, because it was, for some people, it was you would just ignore it, where others it was like me, where it became all consuming in your life. But I mean, obviously with my job, it's different. I mean, now we see it with the multiple wars going on. We've got two big wars at the moment, and it gets overwhelming, and we feel like the world is falling down, chicken little, and the world is falling. That's all of that. The other characteristic is our local cultural identity. Now, we as South Africans, this is a big thing in our lives. So, our Book Fridays, we have got this very proudly South African attitude. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but we are very, very proud of our South Africanness, yet we will run South Africa into the ground with how we feel about it and the negativity and all of that. I'm just reading. I did bubble stuff, gardened and read, and made the most of being braless. Oh, I love that. We all of our sweats got used to death during COVID. Didn't know what real clothes were. Right. So speaking back to our local cultural identity, we as South Africans, we hold on to that identity, but but at the same time, we still want to be part of a global world. We want to feel that connection. We want to feel like we are part of something. But what happens is, because of us going global, we tend to start to ignore the local. I think for us it's slightly different compared to other parts of the world. I mean, even I know a lot of South Africans that have moved overseas that still are very proudly South African. They love the country, they just don't love the politics and how things are run. But it's that we start to see in parts of the world that our local identities get pushed aside and ignored for being more interested in, the global trends, whether it's fashion or anything really. We want to, yes, exactly, Lou. I 100% agree with that. So what's important to think about is how to keep our own identities while at the same time, making sure we fit in with the global environment. Okay. Now, I want to ask you guys. I'm sure you've all heard of the Black Lives Matter movement, and gender-based violence and what have you. How do you think the media and globalization has influenced how we see our humanity? What positives or negatives have come about because of our interconnectedness in these big activist movements? What do you guys think? What do you think the media does? Brought it out of the closet? Yeah, Lou, I completely agree. Okay, so it's actually bringing these bigger issues to light. Great way to bring about awareness globally. Good, Aaliyah. That's so true. Anything else? Yeah. So that is it. Almost as like you say, it's amplified them. It's that we actually see humanity and we see each other, and we can be more supportive of one another. So it's that while there's this idea that we have this almost, we can have a breakdown of humanity, but at the same time, we can actually hold people accountable in a different way. The media hypes up all the problems and creates fear mongering, such as liberalists are brainwashing our kids kind of stuff. Yeah, that's true, Kirsten. There is a lot of fear mongering around certain topics. We can relate in some way or form, yeah, more accessible because of social media. So people who perhaps wouldn't know things, that's a very good point, Lou. It's shown that there is deep inequality around the world, not just in developing countries. That's a really good point. And the thing is, with all the points that you guys raised, it's all about awareness, whether it be raising awareness, whether it be bringing certain topics to our attention. Yes, whether there is certain propaganda, misinformation. So we actually have become more aware, and in certain aspects, we can become more sensitive to things and be more cognizant of them, and also we can have a global outcry and what have you. So I don't know if you guys have noticed that obviously in the last few days with Hamas and Gaza, and we are seeing this global support in saying this is not okay, that these people being killed for nothing, no problem, Amanda, that these people that are being murdered, that it is not okay, so that humanity is able to stand up in a global platform and saying what is going on, why are we doing this. The same thing happened with uh, where am I talking about? Ukraine and Russia. Sorry, I kept wanting to say Iran for some reason. With when Russia and Ukraine, when all of this happened, it's that when these big issues, when these wars between countries occur, we can say, what is going on. So it just brings those to our attention. And then leading on to what you guys were saying earlier, that inequality, it shows us how there is such huge inequality globally. This, yes, and the same way that apartheid in SA was fought against through the media should be used to fight the current apartheid. So yeah, the current apartheid, I don't know, I don't think we could ever go back to an apartheid thing, but I do understand what you're meaning in terms of um, disparity and all that. But it's not only a racial disparity now. Gosh, though, if more people supported the fact that these victims are both sides and not focused on supporting one side or another. Yeah, Lou, that is a good point. It's that there is all these issues get raised, and global inequality and these uh, these injustices, sorry, is the word I was thinking about, all get brought to light. I believe leaders of a country should at least go through a I completely agree with that, Kirsten. Something should happen. Like there really should be a test. It's like how if people say that people should have to do a test before becoming parents. You would think that there should be something that can put people in their place. Yeah, a lot of narcissists in the world. But the problem is narcissists are the ones that often are the ones that become the loudest and distribute their views. I believe politicians retire between 20 and 50. Yeah, not like what the US. How old is Biden? In his 80s? Yeah, because they're the ones that are able to seek those positions, those high positions, because they can push everyone else aside to push their own agendas. Yeah, we just need a bit of a. Oh, he's 80. There we go. I couldn't remember. I knew he was in his 80s. I just couldn't remember the exact age. Listen, lesser of the evils, him and Trump, but you know, but everyone has their own political views. Yeah, they are all in their 70s, and we need change. Men can't they lead with egos, hence they give huge amounts of money for weapons like the US. That is very true. Yeah, lesser evil is still evil. Completely agree. But now, guys, this is the thing: is that we are. I like that Lou egos in a polite world. So it's very true is that we will hold our tongue so much, but these egos um, are what drive the world. Everyone has different views, but the media has to play a crucial role. It is very true, almost, because the reality is that we know that our media is meant to remain neutral. So for those who've done Journ, it's that idea that media should be objective, but the reality is our media is never completely objective. There's always some form of bias present, whether it be bias in terms of who they interview, who they speak to, where the information comes from. There's always some form of bias, and that is a global issue. Poor young generations are struggling to survive due to a worldwide economy problem, which means older generations remain in charge. This is also a very relevant fact. So, and the thing is, guys, we could debate it for hours, bringing up all these points. Yeah, that's exactly it, Almas, is that there is so much we could talk about. And the thing is that we can all talk about it, and we are very keenly aware of all these issues. But at the same time, we almost feel powerless in this global world because there's only so much that we can do to bring about change. And that also relates to, Habermas and the public sphere and all that stuff. It's that, we want change, we want things to get better, but how do we do that when we don't have the power? And it is a global phenomenon, a global issue. And the other things, so just to bring in these last three ones, which are a little bit different from maybe ideas that you might have brought about in other modules, is that, and bringing on that thing about the apartheid of today that was said earlier, is that this reversed colonialism. So it's that there are people trying to take back their identities, and then they are kind of going to the extreme with it, and then ending up taking over the countries of that previously had oppressed them. So an example is Brexit. So one of the main reasons Brexit even occurred was because, and the majority of the people that actually voted for Brexit were the older generations, not the younger generations, and they voted it in because they said basically they don't want the others, the aliens, the non-Brits getting the jobs, and that because they're saying that this reversed colonialism is occurring, that Brits should get the jobs and it shouldn't be any outsiders, regardless of what their qualifications and what they've done to work and reach a certain point. I'm just seeing what Alma said. Definitely, especially when we're behind a screen and we are old people speaking for us in politics. Yeah, I'm with you there, Almas. So this is the thing, guys, is that again, whether it's reverse colonialism, whether it's the idea of a nation state or a cosmopolitan society, it's that all these issues are brought to light, but there's only so much we can do about it. But the idea is that if enough of us speak up and speak out, then hopefully it will be heard. But, that's why voting is important. That's why supporting particular media is important, because if there is a media that is producing fake news and giving us false representation of reality, we as society should not be supporting them, because that means that they will eventually become redundant. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have MySpace and you know, what was it, BB Messenger and all of those things back in the day, Tumblr. Those media don't exist because we don't see them as being important anymore. BBM, that was it. Okay, so it's all about us understanding. Yes, Mix It, that was a good one as well. So I just want you guys to think of these characteristics of globalization. So when you are doing this yourself, when we're going through the PRE, we think about what makes up globalization and then how that influences our global media. So our own media, but also media as a whole. Does that all hit home and make sense to you guys? I know we could talk about this for literal hours and get into huge debates and all that, but I know the majority of you want me to focus on the POE tonight and help you with the infographic side and all that. So, yeah, I'm just being cognizant of that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna jump straight into Canva before even talking to the content. Okay. So let me stop. That was the main thing I just wanted to highlight for Learning Unit 7. Okay, so let me share my screen with you guys. Now, please just be aware, I'm going to have to jump backwards and forwards with Canva. I do have Pro, purely because I use Canva so much that for me it was worthwhile getting Pro. You guys do not have to get Pro. You do not have to pay for this for the sake of this infographic. It works perfectly with the free version. All I ask is that when you look for images and graphics and stuff you want to use within your infographic, just please don't use the ones that are watermarked. So if you go and click on the Pro ones and you can use them, but they're watermarked and all that, rather just go for the free stuff, because you can make amazing infographics using what's available. Oh, look, there's stars. That's new. Okay. I haven't used the Magic Studio yet. I'm still waiting for time. Okay. Yolandi, awesome. Okay, so it works nice. So you're very familiar with this. Okay. I still have, like I said, I still want to use this Magic Studio. It's an AI based idea. Okay. So all of you are going to be creating this infographic. Okay. Almost, you can either attach the link, or what you can do is you can download the PDF and then attach that to your submission. So either will be acceptable. Just remember, like what I said last semester, for those who've had me, even if you do submit the link, please please also include screenshots of it in your assignment. So if anything goes wrong with the link, you can still get the marks for it. I'd rather have a low resolution backup in your POE, in your final PDF, and the link that I can then open up to the high res, than you not having that, because as I've said to you guys before, it can bite you in the bum, and I don't want that. Grateful to, okay, feel better attaching PDF. Good. Or simply download the PNGs and insert it into Word. Yeah, Yolandi, absolutely fine as well. Okay. So as long as I have a visual representation of this infographic that you make, that is all that matters. I need to see, I need to be able to see it and have that backup. All right. So when you get into Canva, literally type in infographic in the search bar here. Okay. Enter. All right. And you are going to find so many templates available. They're the same semester, and I just can't remember right now. Guys, just take it slow. All right. Don't rush this, but at the same time, I don't want you guys to leave this to the last minute. It takes time creating infographics that look good and have got value. So please set time aside for essentially making it look pretty. As ridiculous as that sounds in an academic space, you've got to make it look good, and there's got to be good flow. So if you type in infographic, you'll see this here. I know earlier, it threw me when I saw it, but I'm going to show you the templates. I'm going to show you something that I did for my own studies and what have you, so we can run some ideas. Yeah, Yolandi, it does take us. Okay, guys, what I do want to say to you all is, first, please write your text in Word. Okay? Yeah, we've seen that that's a very big issue. Okay. So I want you guys to write everything in Word first. Okay? Don't go and write it straight into Canva, because if anything goes wrong and you lose the file and for some reason, you need to have a backup. So write it all in Word, write all the content, and now this is where I'm going to say subheadings are going to save your bacon for this particular question, because those subheadings are going to help you in breaking down that content. Okay? So what's important here is to go and give yourself subheadings, and then your bubbles of information will fall under each subheading. And break it down into little sections. You can give me links to YouTube videos you think are relevant to the topic. You can include any images that you want, anything like that. No, Kirsten, you're going to have multiple pages. You will probably need more than 2 pages to fit in 1,500 words. So I've got to be realistic in that I can't say to you guys, you've got to all fit it onto one page, because that's just going to look shocking and you're just going to lose marks. It's an unrealistic pressure to put on you guys. So to me, you're probably going to need closer to 3, maybe even 4 pages in all reality. Now, this is the other thing I'm going to say to you guys. When you find a template that you like the look of, stop there and don't go on, because you can spend hours going through all of these. What I'm looking for is something neat, clean, appropriate. So, for example, this one with all the flowers wouldn't be appropriate. Okay? Bright over the top colors also, to me wouldn't necessarily be appropriate. Okay, I don't mind color. I'm actually all for color, but I don't want it to be so colorful that I battle to read. Yeah, so neutral is always good. If you're using these brighter colors and that, using white text is also good. This kind of thing is quite nice, simple, to the point. You know, this is the kind of thing that I wouldn't necessarily want from you guys. This to me is too childish in the colors, but something like this is okay. This would be okay. And then each of this could be, like, for example, a section on the topic that you're doing. I know this is a pro one. I'm just pointing it out as an example. And each of these could be a certain aspect of media and banyana and what have you. You do need one that is more text heavy, rather than say something like this, which has got very little text. Okay. Um, so these kind of neutral ones are quite good. I'm going to click on this one because this one is more text heavy. Okay, now I'm going to copy this in. Sorry, I've just got to do this so that I don't have to close and reopen and what have you. Okay. So here you can see this particular one. What I would say to you guys is zoom in, and I'm not going to change all the text or anything now, but the one thing I will say is use the template as close to what they produce as possible. So what they do is, if you go to here, design, you're able to see multiple templates as well as different styles. So for example, if you don't necessarily like the colors, but you like the formatting, you can go and click on these different combinations and, you know, change the way they look to a certain degree. And if you click on these, you can also shuffle them till you get the coloring scheme that you like. But again, don't spend hours upon hours working on, sorry, I just preferred the previous colors, manipulating it, because it is a waste of your time. I'm very non-creative. This part of the question is more stressful than the actual question. Aaliyah, don't see it that way, because choose a format that for you is neat, simple, to the point, and I can read the text easily. If that's what's there and you haven't spent time editing it or whatever, that's absolutely fine. All right. All that I would say is think about not making your page too overwhelming. I'd rather you have 4, 5, 6 pages in your infographic and it not be too text heavy than you trying to squish it all into as fewer pages as possible. I'm not giving you guys a page limit at all. Only limit you have is your word count. I will say that, like, for example, here, where you can see there's quite a bit of space, I would personally use up a bit more of the space, like that, for example, where you fill the space a bit, but there's still gaps. You know, you can shift the people around. Here, where you've got this background, you know, use your space effectively. That I'm going to delete this person because she's in my way. Use your space in an effective manner that, again, doesn't make it look overboard or messy, but at the same time uses more of the space, because most of the infographic designs are obviously trying to be very visual, because that's the point of an infographic. It's meant to be a balance of text and graphics, which obviously the way they've done this question can't exactly work like that. But the idea is that I'd rather you use a bit more of the space than what they present. So think about making it look neat, but at the same time, you know, you're not spending time, hours upon hours editing. So I'm just going back to here. So if I carry on, sorry, go back one more page. So if we carried on looking through these, even ones like this, that again, so let me just customize this template. There we go. It's coming up. Now, the reason why I say one like this would work quite nicely is because you guys are obviously doing Banyana as the central theme for this. Here, you could put in actual photographs of Banyana to relate it to the topic. So while the background, you know, the bits of daisies and all that, that's fine. It's not anything offensive, but I'll see the focus of Banyana Banyana in these pictures. And again, like when I see here, I would go and use more of that space in your instance because you've got those 1500 words. Must we write academically? Okay, so Yolandi, you still have to write academically in terms of making sure you have in-text referencing and being a bit more formal and what have you. But you are not going to be writing this as an essay. You are not having an introduction, body, conclusion. You can have, say, for example, here where it says date ideas for introverts, you can introduce it to a certain degree where you give me a little tidbit on, you know, like I say to you guys for your intros, you should have a general statement followed by thesis statement. Here you would have maybe a general statement that introduces the idea of media and Banyana Banyana and, you know, representation of sports and what have you. You'd have something here or maybe an interesting quote or what have you, and that then each of the sections underneath this, then those would, for example, let's say you only need that much space, then the sections underneath would then flow after that. So it's not going to be a traditional academic essay in that you have paragraph after paragraph of information. It's more going to be short paragraphs of information speaking to the main aspects within the essay. Does that make sense to everyone? You've got to group your ideas. You've got to think about your ideas in terms of subheadings, because your infographics work based on the idea of subheadings. Okay. So I'm not expecting an essay. I'm expecting an infographic, and I'm expecting you to present it as such. So what you guys will have is sections of information speaking to the main important points. So if you are talking, sorry, I'm just pulling up the PO email side so I can speak directly to aspects of it. So like, let's say the first thing is concept of culture. So you would then put here, so, oh, sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, so let's say culture, representation, and sports. Okay, select that. Obviously, it's too big, so I'm going to spread it out like this, and I'm going to shrink it up a little bit like that. Okay. Yeah, Yolandi, I completely see. I don't disagree with you. I also see what they're trying to do in giving you guys the skill set. That's what they're also trying to do, is trying to help you guys see things in a different way. Okay. So let's say here, the one thing I will say is please use Canva's guides in terms of middle of the page and all that. It just means things are a bit neater. So let's say you give like a little background, something about culture and representation and all that. Then the first point here you're going to put is the concept of culture. All right. So that is your first heading. Then this paragraph will speak to, or this section will speak to culture. So maybe you have the concept of culture. Then maybe the next one is culture. I'm just making it up as I go. Culture in South Africa. And then you will speak to another aspect that deals with culture. So where you see those bullet points, it doesn't mean that you will only have those 1, 2, 3 aspects. It's that you've got to break up the concept of culture into, so even if you do say the concept of culture is 1 page of your infographic, then the next page is sport and culture as a form of expression, and maybe that takes up 2 pages or 1 page of your infographic. You can see what I'm doing is that those 3 bullet points are your main bits, of the main aspects, but each of those then get broken down into smaller subsections. But more sense to do an essay and then an infographic, highlight the important points, make the infographic easier. Miss, thanks for that. I'll take that into consideration because I'm redesigning the POE for next year. So I'll take that into consideration. I didn't set the POE for this year, but it's nice to get the feedback to see what you guys think works and doesn't work. So I'll definitely take that feedback on for next year. I know that doesn't help you for this year, but yeah. I also like the idea of the infographic. I think we just need to maybe rethink the word count. All right. So you need to think about those three aspects of the, I don't want to say essay, of this question, and that you can either do it as 3 pages of an infographic, each being around 500 words, or you can maybe do 2 pages per section, but you've got 3 sections, and each of those sections need to be broken down further into more subsections. Yeah, exactly. It's just the word count that makes it difficult. All right, let me show you guys my own infographics that I've made, starting with, okay. So again, I had to do an infographic that was quite text heavy. So I'm using it as an example because it relates more to what you guys are doing. So I did this for my own studies last semester, and this was meant to, so it was the history of education within South Africa. And you can see here, again, it is text heavy. But if you look at it in terms of the structure of it, it is breaking each aspect into, so in this case, the curriculum of South Africa, it's working in a chronological order. And what I did was I grouped each section into its own little bubble. All right. So even though this one is very long, this one is very short, it's fine because they're each sections. Fine. Yeah, Usima, they infographics are really awesome. And guys, you can bullet point in this. You know, normally I'm anti bullet points, but you can bullet point in this. You can break it down into paragraphs. Maybe something deals with a paragraph. Then there is then maybe the next one is a paragraph. Lou, the reason why there is only one reference at the end of this is that that was the format we were instructed to do. So for this, that is why for this one, I had to do that. For you guys, because of the structure in which they've explained to you, you have to have referencing throughout. So it's just different parameters set within the given context of the assessment. Okay. So in this instance, the bullet points worked. In other instances, they don't. But you can see within this thing, there is quite a bit of content. The colors are neutral enough. They could have been less bright and maybe a bit simpler, but I had to go with what my partner also wanted. Okay. Yeah, exactly. All your subheadings, all your bits of information, all of it adds to the word count. So rather, I know how much you guys hate subheadings normally taking up your word count. In this instance, see it as a benefit. Okay, we've got to take our small victories where we can. All right, and let me just show you another infographic. Okay, yeah, none of you want the extra 10% on this one. You're wanting that extra 10% going the other way right now. Okay, now let me just show you. Where's my one? Okay. Yes, you download it once you've created it. I'm going to show you guys that now. Okay, so here's another infographic that I created. Guys, I'm not saying mine are perfect. I just got good marks for them, and they're just examples of infographics being used in a academic space. Okay. So again, I'm not saying these are perfect, but it's just to help you and give you a bit more guidance. So this one was 10 reasons why lesson planning is important. The question was your infographic needs to speak to 10 reasons why lesson planning should be done. And the textbook had 10 points. So here it was bits of information working on it, and also because of the module that it is, the bright colors were relevant to the setting. For you guys, the more muted neutral colors and the greens and yellows of Banyana is more relevant to what you guys are doing. So you can see each of these are only one sentence, so that is why the referencing is at the end. And then following on from that, you can see the next page is these 11 things. If we reference underneath the photo, for example, yeah, let's go with it does, Yolandi. Let's just say everything counts towards word count. They haven't said yay or nay to that, so I get to use my discretion in this instance. Okay. Yeah, we're going to take the wins where we can. So you can see here, because this was less information, there were 11 set things here. So you could even, let's say, under culture, maybe there are 5 factors that influence culture. So you could do, point 1 is context. The next point is environment. Whatever those aspects are, you can break it down. You don't have to have every page looking the same. There's certain aspects that you think works better, changing it up, as long as you keep the same color and background and overall design the same. Varying it in terms of presentation is absolutely fine. Then once you've created your sorry, let me just see what you guys are asking. Do we write third person? Yolanda, you still got to be third person, remove and be removed from the thing. So no you, I, anything like that. Keep it neutral. So keep it as academic as you can, while still following a formatting of an infographic. So just for those who aren't familiar with it, like I said, you've got these templates. When you're working on one, don't go and click on one of these, because then it will go and take away all your stuff. But here, if you go under style, you're able to change your coloring, you're able to change your color palettes, you can change what font applies, and it then applies to your entire document. The other important thing is your elements. So if you need to add in, like for example, for those who are doing NCTE, you'll see where I searched chips the other day. So let's say if you want to do football, because of what we're doing, okay, soccer, I forget this is an American thing. So let's say you want something to do with these, anything you use from Canva doesn't get referenced. Okay, no in-text referencing for anything sourced off Canva, because they are free to use graphics and what have you. So here, minusing the pro ones, you can go and incorporate all these into your layout. Okay. So, and I mean, there's some nice ones. There's some nice free ones as well. You don't have to use the other ones. You know, you don't have to pay for Pro. And then for any text you need to add in, they've got the formatting here. All right. And then they've got lots of font combinations that you can use. Again, these are the Pro ones. You can use the non-Pro ones as well to make something that looks good and is effective in the presentation of your content. No, the reference list for your infographic goes in the main Word document where all your references will go. And then for those who don't know, so once you've created your infographic, you're good with it, please also know that it saves as you go. So don't freak out if your computer crashes or closes or whatever, everything gets saved. Then once you're done, you'll go share, and then you're going to say download, and then you can either do a PNG or a JPEG or a PDF standard, so it flattens it. I would recommend PDF because it means then you can upload it to VC Learn straight from once it's downloaded. So guys, remember, you can upload multiple files at a time into SafeAssign. So you can upload your question 1 and 3 as one PDF document with your full reference list, cover page, and all that, and then you can also attach this infographic as a separate document, and I will just click between them, and then I'll put your mark on your main document that you submit. So if you save it as a PDF, it's all done for you, and you can just upload that straight to VC Learn. If you do a JPEG or PNG, then you have to embed it into your Word document and then save it as a PDF. But if that is a bit higher grade and your brain does not like that, just save as a PDF. All right. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Questions with regards to this whole infographic thing? So your reference list for the graphics goes onto the normal PDF, so not separate part of the, correct, Lou? Everything, I completely understand what you're saying. All the sources that you use goes into your main reference list. Okay. Then, and then anything used from Canva don't have to reference. All right. I know I haven't got to explaining the questions themselves. What I'll do for you guys tomorrow night, yeah, I know. What I'm going to do tomorrow night is, for you guys tomorrow night, is I will do a recording speaking to question 1, 2, and 3 and focusing on the report aspect. And then I will upload it for you guys tomorrow night. And then it means that you can start working on it now. And then I will still obviously do the NSS where I will go over it again for a second time. So it means that you can get the information now, and then if you need clarity in the NSS, you've got that as well. Because you've still got another 2 weeks after the NSS to work on your POE. But you know I like prepping you guys ahead of time. No, Lou, this isn't the NSS. This is me being me and prepping you guys early. Sorry, I just don't like leaving it just to the NSS. Because to me, that's just too late. Because I know a lot of you have time issues and everything. Okay, so I'll do that recording for you guys. So our next class is so our next class, yeah, is our last class for the year. Almost, that's right. Yeah, Wasim, I agree. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get it done in time. So I'll do that recording for you guys tomorrow. I might even be able to do it during the day. I don't know. I'll just see how if I finish my lectures early, I'll do it earlier. Otherwise, I'll do it for you guys in the evening, and I'll let you know as soon as it's uploaded. And then, yeah, our last lecture will be on the 30th. Okay. Guys, if you are working on your infographic and you're panicking and you don't know if it looks good and you're freaking out and you think it looks terrible or whatever, please just send me a screenshot and say, Annie, is this looking okay? I really will happily look at it. I won't go like zoom in and work on the things, but I will look at it overall and go, that is looking good, or listen, neaten this up or whatever. I will give you guys that help. So please don't feel like you're alone. Okay. Right. Now that I've fried your brains, it was great lounging with you guys. Leah, you know I don't mind at all. Okay. All right. I'm so glad, Lou. All right. My lovelies, go, and I'm so glad. That's what I always hope for, is that you guys feel supported. Now go have a cup of coffee or wine or something after all that information has been thrown at you. Take it easy, and I'm sure I'll be chatting to you guys tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone. I love that Lizzie's out. You guys are amazing. Love you all. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a great night.